Absolutely.
Let's roll, baby.
All right. So my first question for you today is, what was it like being with Joe Frazier for 15 years? That's got to be an honor. He's one of the greats ever.
Well. Trying to be unbiased, of course. He was the greatest ever. You know, even though he was in the midst of 4 or 5 other guys that were unbelievable. You know, with Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes and George Foreman and Ken Norton and, you know, Lyle and Jerry Quarry. And I mean, there were a lot of guys in there. Bonavita. You know, there were a lot of guys in there, but it was so stacked that, you know, you had to really, really pull out of the pack to be ahead of the pack, or even out of the pack to even get back in the pack. And fortunately, for Joe and our side, we got the chance to fight Muhammad Ali, not 1, not 2, but 3 times, which was awesome. But that was definitely an awesome experience. But you know, it's a part of history.
Oh, for sure.
And the one thing about history is that history makes you a part of it without asking you.
Yeah.
It just happens, and you go along for the ride, baby. So, but that was definitely awesome. Was an awesome time in my life being with Joe, and on through to the later years. And now I get the time to sit and reflect on that time, you know?
For sure. So you do think that Joe Frazier is the greatest heavyweight of all time?
I think that Joe Frazier was the greatest heavyweight of all time. And let me preface that by saying, not only did I know Joe as a person, and I'm very biased to that, let the record so show, but I also knew the type of person that he was, the commitment that he made to his craft and to his training. And I saw that commitment, not necessarily only in his fights, because I saw the same fights everybody else saw, but I knew Joe outside of the ring, and I saw him put that commitment into his son, his sons, his nephew, his daughter, his cousins. I saw him put that commitment into a lot of kids, a lot of the people in the community, and a commitment that was, you know, he wasn't perpetrating. You know, the fact that he trained and stayed in shape and stayed in conditions, he made sure everybody else in that gym stayed the same way. So in my mind, some guys prepare for a fight. Some guys get ready for a fight.
Yeah.
Some guys are always there to fight.
For sure. Joe Frazier was that guy, eh?
He was always there to fight. Yes, indeed.
So, I agree. You got, in today's boxing age, how do you see the heavyweight division? I mean, you got Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fighting not once, but you got 2 times now signed for a deal. I don't know your thoughts on that, too. What are your thoughts on the heavyweight division? Because it kind of got weak for a bit, and it seems to be really coming back in the last couple of years.
It also depends on the talent pool. It depends on the fighters that you have available or that are in the pool. And it just so happens now, you know, at one point, Deontay Wilder stood out, you know, and then Tyson Fury stood out, and then Ruiz stood out for a minute. And it was just going a little back and forth, and the Klitschko brothers stood out, and then it started to evolve that they were all kind of conditioning themselves and training and kind of standing up to the type of talent that was there and living up to expectations. And I see the talent level. You know, I was during the era of Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, and George, and Larry and Ken. Those were big guys. And I don't know, you know, I've been privileged to work with all 5 of them at one time.
Yes.
I did a video called Champions Forever where we did a national and a global tour for the video of those 5 guys fighting each other. So I got to be in the room with those guys, and they were huge guys. And I'm saying that because the athletes today have gotten bigger, faster, and the technical skill levels have changed and gotten a little better. So I applaud the guys today in the heavyweight division for their skill level, for their commitment to the craft, and the fact, excuse me, the fact that they're turning these fights around so quickly at such a high level, it tells me that these guys, when you fight at that level and you fight HBO and Showtime and pay-per-view, you know, I always say it's your night, it's your fight. You need to get it right, baby. So you got to be right. You got to be ready for it.
For sure.
So I applaud these guys, and I enjoy watching it.
For sure. So here's a question for you. Now, we're talking about different levels of stuff. Would Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury, would they be the same fighters? Like, would they still be big, you think, back in the golden era with Muhammad Ali and stuff? Do you think they would still be competitive?
I think they would, based on what I see as the technical skill level. You know, Tyson Fury is what, 6'7"?
He's a big boy.
Somewhere between 6'5" and 6'7".
Yeah.
And he's big, and he's very agile, and he's very mobile. And you know, I saw him when he had a head full of hair. Okay. And he doesn't have that now, and it's not because he shaved it.
Yeah.
And he's still very technically sound.
Yeah.
So and most of the people that Deontay Wilder is also a big guy. Joshua's a big guy. So they're all legitimate heavyweights.
Heavyweights, yeah. And
you know, it's a little back in the day.
Yeah.
We used to look at a guy.
Yeah.
And Joe used to say all the time, you know, come here, son, let me look at you. You know, and he would take a guy and put him in front of him, and he'd look, and he would start down at the ankles.
Yeah.
And if they had little skinny ankles and skinny legs, they weren't true heavyweights. You know.
Oh wow.
You know, he would which you know, genetically you look at it, it kind of makes sense. He'd look at the thickness, and that would tell him, you know, that guy's a true heavyweight. You know, he's got that nice thick heavyweight body, and most of these guys today are definitely true natural heavyweights from the standpoint of the weight and the girth and the size.
So you're still a big boxing fan. You love the fight game. I'm a huge Errol Spence fan. Who is your guy nowadays? Who's someone that you say, oh, that's the guy? Like, there's Terrence Crawford. You got a lot of the guys in boxing. Who do you see as the man?
I've always been subject to the heavyweight division.
Yes.
You know, so there are weight classes for a reason.
For sure.
And everybody's performing. Errol Spence is performing. Lomachenko is performing. You know, Wilder is performing. You know, and you got Terrence Crawford who is performing. So at their weight classes, they're all performing. But for my opinion, you know, the king of the cage is the heavyweight division. And you know, I'm now giving a fan's opinion as a fan, but they're legitimate. You know, Triple G, Canelo, Alvarez.
Yeah.
Hell, we got a guy right here in Philly, Danny Garcia, who
Danny Garcia, yeah.
You know, who can roll the roost if he has to, and right on for Philly and Philadelphia fighting, baby, and combat sports in the city of brotherly love. Bernard Hopkins, Meldrick Taylor. You know, it goes on, baby.
For sure. Now let's get on to a little bit of the MMA subjects. I first want to just clear up some things. You did have, it was something to do with airport situation, if I'm correct. What was the reason for your departure from the UFC? Or something to do with Mark Munoz?
Well, let me first of all set the records so straight.
Okay.
So let it be said, so let it be written. Mark Munoz was not the cause of my departure.
Okay.
He was a part of the incident of what happened, and which, you know, that incident itself kind of burned out into me leaving. But Mark Munoz had nothing to do with it. Dana White had nothing to do with it. But there was another person who was the head of marketing and kind of securing sponsorships, approving sponsorships that the fighters wear before Reebok came along.
Yeah.
And that person approached me in a way that I did not appreciate.
Okay.
I was disrespected. He questioned my integrity. He questioned my work ethics. He questioned me as a person.
Yeah.
And he, quite frankly, got in where he had no business being involved.
Yeah.
You know, we were to work together on certain things, and I had my area on lockdown, baby.
Oh, for sure.
And he questioned it, and he came at me very disrespectful.
Okay.
And in the heat of the moment, and let me just quickly, as far as Mark Munoz is concerned, we had the fight. Mark Munoz was the main or co-main event.
Yeah.
And did not make weight at the specific time that he was supposed to.
Yeah.
So he had an hour to go and cut something like 4 pounds, 5 pounds. I don't remember the exact, but he had some time to go cut that weight. And he did. He cut the weight. He came back, and I wasn't happy with him, so I got with him, which I did with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, two most disrespectful things: you don't make weight, and you're not on time.
Exactly.
I'm gonna come get you. So he did not make weight. He went out. He did whatever he had to do to come back and make weight, which he did. That person that questioned my integrity had left the arena.
Okay.
And I was there waiting for Mark. And when Mark came back and made weight, I left. Now, the hotel itself was about 5 blocks away from the arena, walking distance.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody after I let them walk back. On the way there, I wouldn't let fighters walk on their own because, you know, it's like ants at a picnic. They'd have been all over the place and not where they should have been. So at the end of it, after Mark made weight, it was good. I took the scale and I left him at the arena. And I got a ride back and I told the guy, go back and get Mark. But in my head, you know what? You didn't make weight, which you should have as a professional. So now I'm going to make you walk back to the hotel. So I did that. And I got back to the hotel and this person, this jackass, and that's the first time I said that, but yeah, I said it, called me and questioned me and asked me, where was Mark? And I said, well, Mark's probably walking his big ass back to the hotel, you know, kind of jokingly.
Yeah.
And then that person went on, well, why didn't you? That was the first wrong approach.
Yeah.
And it was like, what did you say? And then he said, well, how did he get back? And I said, well, he walked. And then that person said, well, you know what? You should have been the person walking and not him. And you should have made it just went from there. From that point, it went on uncontested. Okay.
So you and that person are still to this day not good?
To this second, we are not good.
Okay.
And so you can tell the look on my face that we are not good. Because that was the end of my UFC career.
Yes.
Which probably still would have been going on if that had not happened. And I had been there 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
Which that was a pretty good track record.
Oh, for sure.
That one incident. Now, cooler heads on my part, I will say 100% could have prevailed and I could have probably handled it a little different. But at the time, You know, he got mad Burt, he got upset Burt, and he got Philly Burt all in one shot. And all of those three combined was not hearing it. Yeah. And I was totally disrespected, and I just told him what to do with it. So, you know,
and if you could go back, would you do it again?
You mean with him?
No. So if you were to be able to go back to the UFC, would you take the opportunity?
Yes, I would. I would. It's what I do. You know, it's this is what I do. This is who I am. I am a coordinator, and I've been coordinating events for 40 years. Yeah. I say 40. I'm not real good at math, but you know, I did my first event in 1985, baby. I started the first event that I ever saw on live, because I didn't go to the fight with Joe March 8th, 1971, but I saw it in New York. Yeah. You know, so that was my intro to combat sports. And this is what I do. It's what I do, and I learned how to do it, and I created my system along the way. I created a system that we use in the UFC that's still a part of their operational procedure. Sure. You know, still a very big part, because it's like, you know, when you buy a Bentley and you don't drive it 110 miles an hour and you put the right gas in it, you're going to get years of mileage out of it.
Oh, for sure.
You know, but then when you let some other jackass get in there and drive your Bentley the wrong way, he going to crash it.
Oh, for sure. Do you still keep up to date with all the UFC to this day?
I keep up because I keep in touch with a lot of people. I still do. Right now, I'm getting ready to give myself a shameless plug. You know, I'm doing a show now called Legends to Legends. Yeah. Rolling with Burt Watson, and to do that, I sit down with legends, and we have conversations. It's not an interview; it's conversations. But we have conversations of our past, career, life, family. And you know, I've talked to Chael and Randy Couture and George and
Glover,
Royce Gracie and Glover and
Uriah Faber.
You know, Uriah, boy, you've been following.
Yeah.
So, but I also need to know what's going on, because when you work with guys who have created that kind of a status in the sport, there's always a comparison.
For sure.
Somebody's always comparing or calling them out. So I keep up with the sport, and also because I like it. I enjoy it. Sometimes it's a little hard to watch because I know I should be there. Yeah. But I do keep myself informed, and I love combat sports, baby.
Exactly.
You know, I saw the growth of it, the growth of these guys. The saddest part of all that right now is, number one, that I'm not there. Yeah. But number two is that I'm beginning to see guys, you know, who have been around since my day. Yeah. And as of right now, I've been gone 5 years. Yeah. I've seen guys that I took on as babies, as rookies, with their little eyes all big and bright. You know, I saw what Derek Brunson did this past weekend, and I've had Derek when he was a kid, and I also saw Santos, who never lost a fight. I saw him, so I saw two sides of that. You know, I see these guys going against these young kids coming in, and you know, like anything, the athletes get bigger. They get stronger, they get better, they get quicker, and they become more technically skilled. The skill level is unbelievable with these guys.
It's kind of like one of those things where Mike Tyson said back in the day that he didn't have the vitamins and stuff back then.
Yes. But they had the commitment. They
Yeah.
had the commitment to the training, the commitment to the craft, and everybody likes to be on top, baby.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to be at that level. Because I can tell you, when you're gone, if you don't keep it going, they're gonna blow out that light, baby. Trust me. You know,
for sure.
you gotta keep it going. You gotta keep it fresh. You gotta stay relevant. You gotta keep in the same picture, and that's why I keep up with the guys. I just talked to George St. Pierre.
I seen that, yeah.
But I got another one coming out with him on Legends to Legends.
Can't wait.
A second one coming out. So I just recently had a conversation with him. I've got my next one coming out is Matt Hughes.
That's awesome.
I just recently sat down and talked to him. So
You're still involved.
Oh man, am I? You know, it's a fraternity, as I'm sure you know. And when those guys let you in that fraternity, you're in there, baby. You're in there, and I'm in from here.
Yeah, it's awesome hearing stories just from other fighters myself, and it's awesome like from people like yourself. Like I really enjoy doing this. So,
well, you got a lot of meat to work with, baby.
Oh, for sure. There's just getting more. There's so much up and coming talent nowadays that I've talked to even people who are getting into the UFC, and it's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you see a big difference between the Zuffa age and the new the buyout of, or does that? I think it's MG. I'm having a brain fart right now. What the new company is called?
I think it's IMG.
IMG, yes.
Yeah. There's a couple of differences, but they're differences that have come along with time, because everything changes with time. As time goes along, everything gets different.
Yeah.
And everything has to adjust. But it started to get a little different when I was there, because at that point they were just starting to bring on Reebok, and the sponsorship deal was just starting to come in. And when those things, when money's involved, major sponsorships and major television deals, then things kind of flip the script a little bit, where the athlete and the system has to fit into the system, as opposed to being the system itself. So I've seen, everybody, they're wearing uniforms now. Uniform meaning that everybody has a choice of maybe 4 or 5 shorts with the same logo on it. And the corner guys are all wearing the same thing with the same logo. And I'm sure I still speak to some people that are in the mix. And the operational procedures of things have changed. And then you had this past year that came along that really flipped things around. But there was a system in place good enough and secure enough that when it was time to make that adjustment, I was not at all surprised that they took on the world as it is today and kept going with fights. Not surprised at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy that they were like the first sport through this whole pandemic. It
didn't surprise me at all, the capability, because I know what they had in place. I knew what the system was, and the system, okay, the system was prepared for.
By you too.
I'll take that with me. But they were prepared. They were prepared to shift and make changes and make adjustments, because we had to make adjustments and changes every place we went. Every city we went to was a little different. They all had athletic commissions, but they were different. We had to make that adjustment and make that change. All the venues there was not one venue we ever went to that was built with MMA in mind.
Okay.
It was boxing or stand-up entertainment. Most dressing rooms aren't as big as my office.
Yeah.
Burtville here. So we had to make that adjustment because you went from a dressing room where you had stand-up entertainment and stand-up acts to needing the dressing room for a guy to stand up and kick and throw high kicks and roll around. So your space went from 5 by 5 to needing 15 by 15 or 20 by 20.
Yes.
So everything we had to make adjustments. And when we went into because we started to follow the NBA.
Okay.
In those arenas. And when you went into those arenas, there was 2 big dressing rooms.
Yeah.
One big dressing room for the home team.
Yeah.
And a little bigger dressing room for the visitors.
Yes.
But even those were not always big enough for MMA.
Yeah.
And then when you got to when they started really going and basketball started really going.
Yeah.
And say, for example, we went to the Staples Center, we were not allowed to use the Lakers dressing room. Or if we went to Houston, we weren't allowed to use the Rockets dressing room. Or we went to Boston, we were not allowed to use the Celtics locker.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that. So I had to put it in here and create what we had to do. So we'd always been on that wheel of adjustments and having to have to make adjustments and adjust to our situation. But
always make things better.
Hey, as long as they had mats and pipe and drapes, I made it happen, baby.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
So before I get you out of here, and I really appreciate your time today, talk about heavyweights. We got a huge heavyweight title fight this weekend. We got Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. How do you feel about that fight, and how do you see it playing out?
Well, I appreciate the talent level of both guys.
Yeah.
Stipe has proven himself because he has proven the test of time.
Oh, for sure.
And he has withstood the test of time. And Ngannou's that the other guy?
Yeah.
I think he himself expressed that he wasn't very happy with his last couple outings. And he was going to stop and make adjustments. I don't think this is a fight where you're going to be able to make adjustments.
Yeah. This
is a fight where you're going to have to, as I always say, your night, your fight, you need to get it right, baby. He's gonna have to get this one right. And I think it'll be a good one because I do know heavyweights knock each other out.
Exactly.
Heavyweights don't like to be on the ground rolling around and picking you up and you down. They don't want to spend all that time in it. Everybody was not, a Randy Couture, where he went from 205 or whatever and was able, it was like he conditioned to go the distance. But most heavyweights, you know what? They wanted Shane Carwin, boom, wanted to get you out there. Frank Mir, boom, wanted to get you out of there.
Yeah.
There's no. They don't like to stick around for 3 and 4 rounds.
Yeah.
So I think that this is going to be a good one, and I think that the consistency of Stipe and knowing what it is to hold on to that belt, and I'll tell you one thing that I really believe in is that when the lights go on, some people's lights go out.
That is true.
It's all right to get dim, but they shouldn't go out. Yeah. And I can tell you that when you get at that level, those lights are bright, baby.
Oh, for sure.
And they stay on. And I can tell you, everybody doesn't have to stand up in the lit room. Trust me. It happens to all of them. All of them. Every now and then, at some point, when them bright lights are on, when you see them right here,
Yeah.
Something clicks.
So you got Stipe, I'm assuming, by this weekend.
I think out of attrition, I think that Stipe has the conditioning to go the distance, and he also has the power to finish.
That's true.
I haven't seen enough of that young man to assess totally that part of it. But I know Stipe has the conditioning to go the distance, and he has the power to end it real quick. So those two things, I think, give him a bit of an edge. You pull that one out of me, baby, because I usually don't do
that. That's good. Do you have anything you want to say before I let you go? Maybe tell us about your YouTube channel, your podcast.
Well, right now I'm doing a show on MMA Junkie called Legends to Legends, Rolling with Burt Watson, which comes on right now. Right now they're airing maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
And it's on MMA Junkie. If you stay on their listing and check them out, and stay on my social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and when I get ready to do a show, I will post it on there that the show is coming up, and within a week after, the show will be there. But I stay on social media, and I love now staying on social media. So stay tuned to me and reach out to me, and follow my YouTube page, which I just started. I have all my interviews on it, and as soon as I get the link to this one, I'm going to throw this one up on it.
I really appreciate it.
You know, it has all of my interviews and a lot of good things up there, and a lot of good history. So follow Burt Watson on social media, baby. Legends to Legend, rolling with Burt Watson.
Perfect. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right.